Hi, my name is Lina and welcome to this episode about advanced music production techniques. And it's good for beginners, but it's good also for more advanced music producers. And we're going to be talking about pitch shifting and time stretching, as well as envelopes, sidechaining in many different ways, grouping and arrangement, and reversed reverbs. So if you want to learn all that, then keep on watching this video. Welcome to Elena Does Audio Stuff. Welcome back, and if you are a new one here, then welcome to my channel. This is the fifth episode of How to Become a Music Producer series. So we've gone through many things like building up your home studio and choosing a DAW and making your sample library and vocal mixing and recording, and today's episode is all about music production techniques that are a bit more advanced than just the basic ones. And then I have one more episode after this, and that's about finishing your track. So all the tricks and tips how to finish your tracks. I'm gonna tell you all my secrets. And also in this point, hey, please subscribe and please hit the bell icon so that you will see everything else, because I do a lot of cool stuff in this channel. So yeah, subscribe. Okay, so let's get into this episode. The first point is all about pitch shifting and time stretching. So you take a sample that you recorded or that is already from the sample library, and then you transform it something completely new and unique. With this technique, you will stay apart from the mass. Like, you don't sound like everybody else. So the first things first, I'm gonna go to the browser window and I'm gonna pick a sample like a guitar. I was thinking about guitar and I typed snare. Guitar, there we go. There we go, that's perfect. So I'm gonna just put that in the new track and I'm gonna solo that one. Important thing is that you double click the clip and you go to the clip editing view. So the first things we need to have a look is transpose. So example, we can pitch shift it. So that's a bit like a bass already. Or we go higher. Or we can revert it. Or here we go, we can stretch it as well from these two buttons here. So I can compress it to faster. And when I click it twice, it goes even faster. And with the pitch shifting, with the transpose, it's definitely already very unique sound. And when we go back here to the normal size, we can stretch it by pressing it once. How would that sound when it's slow? Or even slower. Kind of like it. So that's a really cool bass sound that I just created there. So again, it can make your workflow much more interesting. The second one is the envelope of the sample. When we think about envelope, we think about attack, sustain, release, decay. When we talk about envelope manipulation in Ableton Live, it allows us to manipulate different areas of envelope. Using this technique is the same reason than this previous one, third way of editing and manipulating samples to be unique and interesting. So let's work with the envelope of the clip. So I'm gonna use the same clip that we did before. And now I need to go on the bottom of the clip view and I'm gonna click this symbol that has two balls like this, and there is a line between. So this window allows us to now control the different areas of the envelope of the clip. Let's go example this view here, and we can go either the clip or the mixer. So the mixer, of course, allows us to change the track panning, the volume, fade, assign, reverb, delay, all these different things to this particular clip. So, but what we can do from here is example cool editing stuff. So if you go to clip and transpose, yeah, And now we can transport just some areas of the clip like this. There we go. But it also allows us to do other stuff. So volume is quite self-explanatory what we can do with that. But if you can see that there's grain size and flux, but they are not highlighted. So how do we do that? Well, for that we actually need to go here to this drop-down menu and we need to go textures. So textures shows us the grain size and also the flux of the sample. So what grain means is what is the grain size of the little audio samples in that Ableton Live plays to us. So we can change it from here and you can definitely hear the difference. Or slow. Massive difference. So then we can also change the flux, and flux is the randomness of how it's played. So what higher it is, the more random it is. So now we go to the clip, and now we have the grain size of flux, and we can also edit them with this automation tool, such as this. Random. So same way we have also sample offset. So where we can go and change that from is it's from the beats. So we go to the beats and you can see the preserve. So basically what it does is that what grain is repeated and it can actually create different type of rhythmic qualities to the tone. So we can go, you can of course see the measurements of the tone, the repetition from here, but we can also go and change the sample offset and we can control it same way as we did with other ones. Quite jazzy. So what we can do is also go and unlink the loop, the envelope, this envelope that we are editing from the loop, because otherwise it's just like usually the measurement of the clip, but we can actually create it so that it's a different length. So we can just go and line it up like that. And now that's looping in a separate pace than the clip. So that can help you to create much more interesting samples and sound figurations. So example, I just created really funky jazzy guitar thingy happening there. So number 3 is sidechaining and the ducking effect. When you talk about sidechaining, usually we just talk about the ducking effects. The most classic way of thinking about ducking effect is that we have a synth part or bass, and then we have a kick to trigger the synth or bass so that every time the kick hits, it reduces the bass or the synth so that you can hear the kick better. So this is a really good way of avoid problems with masking and any type of frequency problems, basically. So I will show you first the classic sidechaining of example, a synth. Yeah, I have a synth clip here. Powerful. It's like a really bassy synth. So now what I want to do is create a kick that goes parallel to this synth bass. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, like that. So we get the pulsing effect. Okay, so if I loop it now, it's way too fast. So I'm gonna put length as 1 bar. Let's reduce the length to be... Okay, that's the pulse that we want. Now I'm gonna go to the synth track and add a compressor there. Compressor. And now I'm gonna open the compressor from the arrow here and activate the sidechain. And now we're gonna go from the audio from and we're gonna connect it to the kick that we just created. So that connects it to the track. Okay, we have a post effects, create. So we need to control ratio and threshold to be able to create the ducking effect. And in this instance, I want the attack and release being quite short. And what I can do is just take the output of the kick track away, and voila. That's the ducking effect. But you can use sidechaining in more ways than just that. Because the only thing what you need for sidechaining is that you have a trigger and you have the thing that the trigger triggers. So, example, you could use a really strummy guitar part triggering a synth. Every time the guitar plays and strums and it peaks and it's really loud, then the synth ducks down. So you can actually use it in so many ways that are very creative. We can also do it so that I can use this guitar tune to trigger the synth. Okay, so while I do exactly the same, I just go to the bass synth and I'm gonna look for the sidechaining and it's the guitar, there we go. And let's see how that sounds. So what that does is that less pulsing, but what it does is that it gives space for the guitar. So example, if you really suffer with masking of similar frequencies just overdriving each other and you can't hear properly, then you think, okay, what's the more dominant effect? And you want to just trigger the dominant one with the lower dominant one, and you have much more clearer mix. You can also use sidechaining with effects like reverb and delay. So it doesn't need to be necessarily just a kick and a synth. It can be also, example, vocals and a reverb. I'm gonna go to the return track that says reverb. Okay, in front of that, we're gonna attach the sidechain. And after that, we're just gonna think, so example, the guitar. And also I need to activate the reverb on the channel. With sidechain, and without sidechain. Massive difference. So what happens is that the guitar is triggering the reverb, and every time the guitar plays, the reverb ducks down and it plays mostly after the guitar stops playing. So very good advanced technique. Number 4 tip is groups and arranging. So I know this might be a bit of a like, oh, that's not advanced technique, but I do believe that it actually is. Just select a certain amount of tracks that you want to group together. Example, drums, you group them together, Command G, you group them together. That creates a one track that controls the volume of all the other tracks. So it's like a sub aux group. So in other DAWs you need to do it with buses and creating with aux tracks, but in Ableton Live you can just group and put Command G and it does it. And also when you share projects with other people and you're organized, people like working with you more because you're more efficient with it. So the good positive things about grouping it is that I can now play, example, these together. So I can play only the drums instead of activating the whole scene. But also the second good point is that I can add effects like a compressor to all of the drums same time by adding it to this track. Third really good point is that I can make sure inside of the group all the volumes between the drums are suitable, and then when I have it just like that, I can go between the groups and then mix them together. So I can do the final mixing groups, but firstly I do it inside of the group. So that also helps you to handle the project much better. And the number 5 tip is reverse reverb. This is just a really fun music production technique. For example, if you use it for synth, guitar, vocals, it's just so fun. I have a guitar part here, that is the dry signal. Perfect example for reverse reverb. So first we're gonna go and revert this, reverse it. After that, we're gonna add a lot of reverb that I have on my return track, and it has a lot of decay time, so really long decay time. Let's listen to that.
Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that. Let's l
look, where does the decay time end? Keep an eye on that. About there, okay? So I take that, highlight the area, the time area that I want to now export. So we're gonna go File, Export Video Audio, export it, reverse, guitar, save, render. Bring in the one that we just exported. So I'm gonna bring it in. There we go. And now what I need to just do is revert it back. So I'm gonna revert it back like that. Okay, so now we have the reverse reverb. We have it rise it to the guitar part. Okay, so you can see that the guitar part is slightly mumbled now. So we can now bring the dry signal in, match it up with the reverb one, and now then we can just balance them out. So because of the reverb, of course, the timing can be mumbled a little bit. So you need to just kind of cut it and make sure that they match nicely. So have fun with that. Okay, hey, thank you very much for watching. Please come back next week to watch the last episode of this series, which is all about finishing your track. So we're gonna be talking about the point of workflow, but also a little bit about mastering. So please subscribe and please let me know down in the comments what you thought, and I'll see you next week. Okay, bye.